Welcome back to the Conscious Code series on the EmbodyME podcast. I'm your host, Crystal Renae. I am your soul embodiment guide, your soul brand alchemist, here to help you embody more of your authentic self in your business, in your brand, and in your life so that you attract and magnetize everything that is aligned with who you truly are. So today we are talking about gate 6, which is the keeper of peace, according to my verbiage, right? And this is my Venus and my IQ sphere in the gene keys. So I'm very familiar with this specific gate or gene key. I've spent a lot of time contemplating this gate. And in human design, it is referred to as the gate of friction or the gate of impact. And it's located in the emotional solar plexus, moving towards the sacral center, connected to gate 59, which is my conscious sun gate. And in the gene keys, it's called the path to peace. And it's located in the tropical astrological sign of Virgo, as well as the Vedic sign of Virgo, as well as Leo, specifically in the Uttara Falguni Nakshatra, which is my Venus nakshatra. I'd like to say that this is the most Virgo gate out of all of the gates, in my personal opinion. And in I Ching, it's referred to as conflict, sun shining on the roaring river. So the overall energy of gate 6 is deeply connected to your emotions, conflict resolution, and the attainment of inner peace. So the power of this gate lies in your capacity for emotional transformation and invites you to engage with your emotional world using conflict as a gateway to emotional clarity and peace. It's about embracing emotional growth and maturity, transcending inner conflicts, and positively influencing others with your emotional alignment. So let's talk about the shadow of this gate, which is conflict. And this manifests in overly defensive behaviors, emotional reactivity, avoidance of conflict, and a fear of intimacy, leading to unresolved tensions and imbalances. So, in your repressive nature, or if you're an introverted type, you may show up as being over attentive. And this can manifest as being overly attentive to conflicts or potential areas of disagreement. And it can lead to a hyper awareness of tension, a tendency to escalate conflicts, or difficulty in letting go of grievances. So, you're over attentive, and this may stem from a fear of conflict or a desire for control over situations. In your reactive nature, or if you're more of an extroverted person, you can show up as being tactless. And this can manifest as a lack of tact or diplomacy in communication and interactions with others. It may involve a tendency to be blunt, insensitive, or confrontational when addressing conflicts or sensitive topics. And this reactive behavior can intensify conflicts or lead to further misunderstandings. So you're either over attentive to conflicts, basically adding fuel to the fire, making them grow, or you're tactless in the verbiage that you use in communication with those that you are in conflict with in the first place. So, in your shadow, you may have a fear of truly opening up and being intimate with others. And this can lead to defensive behaviors and a sense of nervousness when faced with uncertain or insecure situations. When ruled by your emotions, conflicts can easily escalate in your shadow, and you may find yourself behaving defensively and creating tension in your environment. You may believe that you have to defend yourself from danger or potential conflict, leading to over-attentiveness and fear-based efforts to maintain peace between people. Or rather than addressing conflicts directly, you may sweep them under the rug, which leads to unresolved issues and emotional turmoil that could build up over time, and then eventually lead to that tactless behavior of just spewing out words of aggression. So, in moments of emotional intensity, you may project your emotions onto others, making emotional situations worse and creating unnecessary chaos. You may be overwhelmed by your emotions and you might lash out, and storm away without considering the impact of your actions on others. And I can tell you that when I start to be afraid of my emotions towards another person, I tend to create conflict in my relationship to see how much somebody actually cares about me. And that is, of course, me in my shadow. And this gate is very much so that energy. Like, I'm afraid that this person doesn't love me or care for me like I care for them. And let me see if I create a conflict between this person and myself to see how they respond, to see if they do truly love me, which is a very low frequency thing to do, very manipulative thing to do. Right. But that's this gate in the shadow. And because it's in my Venus, that's kind of how I operate from the lens of love. Right. And in the shadow, it's almost like a teenage mentality where it prevents you from taking full responsibility for your emotions or the words that you're using, and it hinders your growth and development. And you have an inability to find peace because inner conflict and imbalances make it challenging to experience this peace within yourself. And this can lead to a lack of equilibrium in your life. So you're either people pleasing out of fear of conflict, or you are being tactless in the verbiage that you're using, creating conflict with your words because you are in an emotional state of fearing that other people are going to take advantage of you or use you, or that they don't necessarily love you. That's that fear of intimacy that you have in the shadow of this gate. But that brings us to the gift of this gate, which is diplomacy. And this is achieved through emotional awareness and maturity and enables the resolution of conflicts with a tactful and diplomatic approach, creating inner peace and fostering deep connections with others. This gate is very connected to language, the language that you use towards other people that are in your auric field, right? That are in the same room as you, and whether you trust them or not. And how do you create that trust? How do you create that intimacy? Through language, through words, through emotions, and expressing your emotions in a tactful way. And that is the gift of diplomacy. So, in your gift, you have the energy to transform conflicts into opportunities for inner peace. By using conflict as a doorway into emotional clarity, you find ways to bring harmony and stability into your life and relationships. So, through this emotional awareness and responsibility, you become empowered to navigate conflicts with a sense of clarity and purpose. Your emotional growth and stability contribute to your overall well being and fulfillment. So, in your gift, you actually have the natural ability to resolve conflicts with a tactful and diplomatic approach. Your presence can either inflame or calm situations, and you choose to bring clarity and fairness to emotionally driven or irrational circumstances. So instead of using harsh words or harsh language to create that conflict, instead you're using language that creates peace and is like, okay, what can we do to resolve this conflict between us, right? Because it's all about you and another person when it comes to this gate, that emotional connection. Since it's linked with gate 59, which is all about intimacy and transparency, this is on the other end of that where you fear those things. So you create the conflict to create the separation, almost to kind of like put up a wall and say, you're not welcome here. You're not welcome in my space, or to connect with me on an emotional level. But in your gift, you're diplomatic and you're trying to resolve that barrier, that fear that you have of connecting deeply with another person or co-creating with another person in the channel of mating that this is in. So in your gift, you stand as a giant set of scales almost, finding the balance between high emotions and clear resolutions. By weighing out situations with emotional clarity, you can discern the right timing and approach to bring about harmony between you and another person. And you have access to emotional wisdom. that allows you to trust your intuition and your timing. And this inner knowing guides you in handling conflicts effectively and promoting peace in your life. And your emotional energy can influence others positively, and you become an energetic beacon of peace. By maintaining a high frequency of emotional alignment, you create a ripple effect of equitability and sustainability in your interactions. And like I said, gate 59 is like the penis, forgive my language, but I truly see it this way. It is the penis of the gates where it wants to penetrate and it wants to create that intimacy. This is kind of like the feminine side of that. Like, I don't want to call it the vagina, but it's like, oh no, are you worthy of being intimate with me? Where it puts up that wall, it might create the conflict, or it's like, let's be diplomatic in this connection that we have and see where it goes. Let's let down the walls, right? And in your gift, you're able to do that. So you embrace emotional growth and maturity, experiencing peace and stability within yourself. And this radiates outwardly and creates a harmonious and balanced environment around you. And that actually brings us to the Siddhi, or highest state of frequency of gate 6, which is peace. And this is the embodiment through the transcendence of inner conflicts and emotional transformation, and radiates an inner peace that promotes harmony and balance, influencing the world positively. So, by aligning with the divine timing and trusting the flow of life, you learn to be patient and discern when to act or communicate with others. Your impact is in service to the world, and you use your energy wisely to influence positive change. And your emotional awareness and ability to create inner peace opens the door to deeper intimacy and connection with others. So you're breaking down the barriers and embracing vulnerability. You foster more meaningful relationships in this higher state of frequency. And through this, you understand that conflicts can lead to personal growth and transformation by using them as opportunities to dive into emotional clarity. What is creating this conflict? Why do I feel this way? Right? Why do I feel fear when another person walks into my space? And you uncover the path to peace and wholeness. You embrace your role as a peacemaker. You're here to bring the peace within conflict, finding fulfillment in bringing the emotional equilibrium to yourself and those around you. And your presence actually helps others resolve conflicts and find inner peace within themselves. So you trust your emotions to guide you in the right direction, supporting your decision making process and aligning with your true purpose. And how you can use gate 6 in your business or your brand is by embodying the emotional clarity and stability within you, creating a sanctuary where customers can feel safe navigating their emotions as well as seeking peace. So, your expertise in resolving conflicts, positioning your brand as a go to resource for navigating interpersonal challenges with grace and building stronger relationships through effective communication and diplomacy. So, your brand's messaging promotes harmony and balance, emphasizing the value of maintaining equilibrium in personal and professional environments, as well as fostering a culture that appreciates the growth opportunities that are inherent within the conflicts. It's all about not avoiding conflicts, but finding the truth behind what emotions are creating the conflict in the first place. Why do I feel this tension between me and another person? And how can I be diplomatic in my approach to resolving this and bringing peace between us? Here are some contemplative questions that you can ask yourself if you have this gate active in your chart. What patterns have I noticed in the conflicts that I experience in relationships? And what would taking full responsibility for my emotions look like in my relationships right now? And in what ways can I cultivate a sense of diplomacy and collaboration in my relationships and interactions with others? And here are some practical tips that you can use to further embrace the shadow of conflict and embody the gift of diplomacy and peace. Practice emotional awareness. Take time to understand and acknowledge your feelings. It's okay to experience a range of emotions, but what matters is how you respond to them. Your feelings are signals, so don't ignore them, but don't let them rule you either. Engage in healthy conflict resolution. Conflict is not inherently negative, it's an opportunity for growth and understanding. Aim for resolution instead of winning when disagreements arise, and listen to others and share your thoughts respectfully. And practice patience. Healing and growth are processes that take time. Be patient with yourself as you learn to better navigate your emotions and conflicts and your fear of intimacy with others. So, that, my loves, is the beautiful gate 6, the keeper of peace. Are you creating conflict with others due to fear of intimacy, or are you using your words in a way that creates peace? With that being said, I will see you again in the next human design gate or gene key. Mwah.